We have a lot going on here this week in Friday Night Meta. So thank you for tuning in, and thank you to all of those of you that have joined in MAGICCON here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, my home state and city as always. We got a lot going on here. Down below in the timestamps, you'll find all that for you here as we break down the different metas for each of the formats, along with the best of one and best of three. Additionally, here, I do want to talk a little bit about the Pro Tour. We had a great time at MAGICCON, and there's a lot of things headed this way and potentially going to impact things here. So stay tuned throughout and you find the section that's relevant to you, and excited to break things down for you in today's episode. So first off, like I said, MAGICCON's happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota right now. We got the Pro Tour happening as well. And with that, we got a snazzy standard metagame going on right here. So this is what the pros are playing. I expect some potential shift in terms of what we're going to see in our best of three meta. We got some new things here. Some of the stuff that I've actually covered of recent, like 5-color ramp, as well as control, domain control, a lot of these other reanimator lists, Esper Legends, and a lot of the top stuff here as well that's making an impact here, as you can see. And on top of that, there's 50 other archetypes. So excited to see what comes through. The big one as well is Rakdos Breach, up and coming. So we'll see if that one pulls through in this week. Now, with that, let's pop back. And again, thank you to all of those of you that headed to my fine state here to hang out, play Magic, check out a lot of great content creators out there. Shout out to all those of you that I ran into, CGB, Jaffer, and James. As always, thank you for the time and thank you for spending your evening and day with the community. All right, so let's get moving here. Standard meta. Here we got untapped, best of one, bronze to mythic first. We're going to take a look at the wide range and we'll drill down, but we may not quite get there yet because we're early out of the season here for May. First off, again, Azora Soldiers at the top, followed by Mono Red Aggro, Mono Red Burn, Rakdos midrange, Mono Black midrange, Grixis midrange. We see that 5-color Reanimator again, still in there with our Atraxa friends, and then Dimmer Control, not quite making 50%. And then additionally here on the popularity, you can see on the right, it's still fairly dominated by our aggro-y friends for best of one. And then as we scroll down, we do see some of these changes here, things moving around as we see a reset with the meta, which is pretty typical in some of those changes. So let's go ahead and we'll see if there's a little bit more in the competitive space. Definitely not quite yet, as we figured. So we'll leave it at the wide variety. Let's go over to best of three. Best of three, here's what we got going on. As I just discussed, we're seeing some of these changes here in terms of what some of the pros are playing. Here we got Esper Legends at the top end of the list, Rakdos midrange, Grixis midrange, 5-color Domain becoming, like I said, more popular. Jeskai Control becoming more popular as well, 5-color Reanimator, Mono Red Burn, and Grixis Hidetsugu. And then here on the right, you can see what's really being played. Those top 4, top 5 lists starting to pull away from the rest of the meta in terms of percent played. Now, as we come down here and see some of these changes, we certainly see that Grixis midrange really popping up again. It was already trending up. We do see a lot of these other things popping into the meta and also trending up. And then again, in terms of win rates, Esper Legends is still really doing well in terms of the competition, in terms of the other decks that are there as well. So that is all for standard. We're going to stay tuned to see what happens with the Pro Tour and see if we get any changes as we go into next week, and we'll cover that in next week's series. Now, with that, here in Alchemy, we've got best of one. They're Mono Red Aggro, Grixis midrange, 5-color Reanimator, Mono Red Burn, Dimmer Ninjas, Mono Black Control on the right, heavily dominated by that Mono Red Aggro. And again, one deck for the rest. Red deck wins as always. However, you can see that Mono Red Aggro has definitely dropped in terms of win rates. So that's important to pay attention to see if things continue to evolve there in Alchemy. Let's go ahead to best of three. Best of three, we do have a few players. Grixis midrange and 5-color Reanimator are being the two key decks here that you can see players on in terms of win rate and in terms of play rate and popularity and win rate over time. So that concludes Alchemy. Let's go ahead and peruse into historic. Historic here, we got Is It Belcher back at the top. Rakdos midrange, Is It Wizards? So Wizards had been at that top again, still close. We got Selesny Angels, Esper Affinity being in there. Mono green elves, Azor's Control, mono white life gain there. And then on the right, you can see heavily dominated by those top 3 lists. And then on the right here too, you can see that popularity that is at Wizards. Again, falling off here towards the end against that Rakdos midrange and that Esper Affinity doing very well. And then obviously we still have Belcher in here too that you can see in terms of where that's at with the win rate. So that concludes our historic best of 1. We're going to move over to historic best of 3. Here we got 5-color Domain, 4-color Kethis, Rakdos midrange, Azor's Control, 5-color Reanimator, mono green Devotion, Jund midrange, and 4-color Control. So a lot of things moving around here. 5-color Reanimator at the top, Rakdos midrange, really being the 2 key decks when we look at historic meta. And then as we scroll down, we see this huge jump there with that 5-color Reanimator. Also Rakdos midrange kind of falling off, but getting back in there. And then everything else really kind of trending down in terms of win rate. We do see 5-color Domain still doing very well and staying strong. Azor's Control popping up there as well. So something to continue for us to watch and see how things play out here. Let's move back to best of 1. And now we have our last best of 1 and best of 3 format here with Explorer. So here's what we got going on in Explorer. Mono white humans, Selesnya Angels, Azor's Control, Abzan Greasefang, Dimmer Rogues, Mono green Devotion, Mono red Aggro, and Rakdos midrange. On the right, top 4 really kind of dominating that. Mono green Devotion, certainly the number 1 played. Selesnya Angels, number 2 there, has been a popular list over time. As you can see that, Selesnya Angels kind of popping off. Obviously, Green Devotion's been going up, continuing to maintain that trend. We still see the other trends kind of coming down. The other stuff still trending up, which is good to see. Here is that Mono White Humans, and then Spirits getting back in there as well, even though it is not as common as it has been in terms of some of the past play. Let's go ahead to best of 3. Best of 3 here, we got Gruul Vehicles getting to the top. Rakdos midrange, Mono green Devotion, Is It Creativity, 5-color Creativity, Dimmer Rogues, Abzan Greasefang, and then Azor's Control. So here's what we got on the right, heavily dominated by the top 3, Rakdos midrange, Dimmer Rogues, and Mono green Devotion. Here you can see a lot of the stuff trending. Again, that Dimmer Rogues really trending up towards the end of the season there, and then maintaining and going back up. We see Rakdos midrange pretty solid and strong, moving back up and back to where it was before, similar to Mono green Devotion. We do see Azor's Control taking a big hit there in terms of what's going on. That Gruul Vehicles, though, doing really well in terms of piloting. Yeah, figure that one out. And crewing in terms of that magic language there. Pulling up towards the top here. So that is a lot of what's happening there in Explorer best of 3. Now to close it all home, historic Brawl. Is Ragavan still going to be our monkey? Yeah, Nimble Pilfer. Now it is getting closer. Look at that, 64%, 64%. Now Atrox is becoming more popular to play, and Etali is becoming more popular to play. So we have Atroxa, the first sliver. We have Etali, Emoti, Vornaclex, Troxa, and Azika. And then as we scroll down here, here's what we got in terms of popularity. There's that Ragavan falling off. We have Atroxa picking back up. We have a big gain here with Etali becoming very popular. And then Vornaclex here picking up as well in the space. And then here we go. In terms of the win rates over time, again, Sliver pretty consistent. We see Ragavan really starting to come down. We also see Atroxa coming down, and these other ones starting to kind of pick up here in the space, particularly Etali and some others. So we'll stay tuned and see as those things continue to change. And pull this all back to our standard here for Magic the Gathering, March of the Machine. As I mentioned, again, thank you. We've had a lot of fun at MAGICCON, so thank you to everyone there as well. It was great to see a lot of folks out and had a lot of fun in the play on demand stuff as well. So thanks to everyone there. And lastly, I just want to say thank you to you. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate the likes and the subs as always as we continue to grow this great community. On top of that, great ways to stay connected down below. And thank you to all the members. If you happen to have a question or comment throughout today's episode, let me know. I love to hear from you, and come say hi and swing by the Discord server. Maybe you'll see me again at MAGICCON one of these days soon. But with that, until next time, we got a ton of great content here on the channel. A lot more headed your way. We'll see you again. Take care. Mythras out of here.